Fred, Sheila McCoy. Sheila's behind the camera. Hatfield McCoy Museum in Liberty, Kentucky. FredMcCoy.com or Hatfield's McCoysMuseum.com for all the information. Sheila's going to put this board here on the camera here in a minute, and this is just a timeline of some of the things that happen between the Hatfields and the McCoys and things like that. It's just a small board of the dates, of the years at least. I'm gonna have to trim my mustache. Every time I get on these cameras, mustache and nose hair. And while I was doing this, we was getting ready to film this one, and I went over here, and you can turn your camera around. And beside of the board, here's the board that she's going to get a close-up of after a while. Mm-hmm. And that's what we was going to do. But we've also got this one here, and what this is Paul Patton, the one-time governor of Kentucky, and that is Coleman C. Hatfield that he's with, and Paul Patton is the one that I've got another board down here. Let me go get it. It might be better to show. And Paul Patton is the one that started actually the tourism, or was one of the people responsible for starting the Hatfield McCoy Tourism, bringing it to Pike County and trying to let it grow. And of course, Paul had some controversy of his own while he was the governor, and left office in disgrace. Embarrassed Kentucky Governor Paul E. Patton admitted he had engaged in an extramarital affair with a woman named Tina Connor. After initially denying the affair, Patton tearfully admitted to it during a televised press conference. Patton, the object of the state's national ridicule and the subject of many jokes. The Carrier Journal called for Patton's resignation, stating that he was too damaged for moral authority to lead. Anyway, he met with Dr. Coleman C. Hatfield of Stallings, West Virginia. Hatfield presented an autographed copy of his hardbound book to the governor. And that's Coleman C. Hatfield actually giving Paul Patton one of his books. And since, thought about not doing this, but since Paul Patton is from Pike County, and since he was the governor of Kentucky, and since while he was at one time the county judge in Pike County and responsible, or one of the people responsible for promoting the Hatfield-McCoy feud, I think that brings him in. The Hatfield-McCoy feud is so controversial that it involves a lot of controversial items, and along with that comes the governor of Kentucky. Paul started out as a pretty good governor in Kentucky, and then I'll just read you this article from the Louisville, Kentucky, June the 19th of this is 2022, so this must be an update or something dealing with it, but it was 1997, and according to her account, Tina Connor was approached by then Kentucky Governor Paul Patton at a Tom Barlow political fundraiser. Basically, the next morning he called me and propositioned me, she said. Why don't we get together? Anyway, after an affair lasting 2 years, the couple meeting at a hotel off of Hurstbourne Lane 9 or 10 times. She says it was always 7 a.m. Said their sessions lasted 5 hours or more. Wow. Anyway, Paul Patton's state security police guard waiting in the car in the parking lot for 5 hours or more. His security detail waited in the parking lot of the hotel while he had a rendezvous with his girlfriend on taxpayers' dollars. Now, the question there for me as a career police officer would be, did they know? And I believe they would have. Most cops are inquisitive and they would want to know why we're meeting at a hotel here for 5 hours and who you're meeting with and so forth. So I think that's very disgraceful in and of itself, not only of Paul Patton, but of the Kentucky State Police. Waited in the hotel parking lot. During the affair, Connor claimed she gained favors from the governor. You need to take care of this. See what you can do for her. Within a week, I had a check. That was her comment. Connor also described the governor getting Transportation Cabinet Jim Caudell to help her husband's business. Again, this is in the newspaper. I don't know anything about this. I'm just telling you what's in the paper. And it goes on. I'll post a picture of all this. In 2000, Connor says favorable treatment started involving an appointment seat to the lottery. Evidently, Paul Patton appointed her to the Kentucky Lottery Commission. It paid $5,000. I don't know if it's $5,000 a month or a year or what, but it says she got paid $5,000 for being appointed to the lottery board. And she says that she thinks that the governor appointed her to the lottery board just so she would have an excuse to go to Louisville where him and her could rendezvous. So Connor says even though she ended the affair in 1999, Patton didn't stop calling until October 2001. 2 months later, state inspectors wrote her 163 violations on her nursing home, and she finally filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy. He wants to destroy me, she said. At first, the governor denied the affair. Have you had sexual relations with Tina Connor? Herbert asked. I have not, Patton replied. Herbert asked again. You have never had sexual relations with that woman. I have not, Patton said. The governor's denial didn't last, and within days of Connor's taking her story public, he confessed to the affair. I apologize to the people of Kentucky for my failure. Fallout from the affair ended Patton's political career. A man who had once had political experts said that Democrat Party had suffered collateral damage. So anyway, sad but true. This is the man that helped revive the Hatfield and McCoy tourism and stories in the state of Kentucky, and one of the few men probably that has an actual autographed book from Coleman C. Hatfield. And again, at one time he was a good governor. He got a lot done, a co-operator and different things, but he let other stuff catch up to him and lost all credibility here in Kentucky, or at least with a lot of people. Not saying everybody, because I think he went on to do other things still yet, him and his wife. But it sure hurt the governor's office and the Kentucky State Police at that time. I don't know how we got off on that story. We were on the other story on the timeline, and like I said, that picture was beside of it, and we end up making a whole board of it because as people have seen that photo, they wanted to know more about the affair. That wasn't our aim to get on the affair, but as people saw him receiving the book from Coleman Hatfield, they did have questions. So when people has questions, we have answers.
We try to answer.
And not trying to be disrespectful, but the truth's the truth, and that the history that will go down in history. So I think that's going to conclude this video. Thanks. We'll catch you next time.